The North. We've all seen it on motorway signs, almost shouting its announcement. But where does it start? Now there's a question. Some say it's at Watford Gap services on the M1. It could be Sheffield in South Yorkshire, where that northern accent is properly noticeable. Then again, it could be up in Newcastle upon Tyne, or maybe as far up as Glasgow. It's a question open to debate, but on this trip, I'd be heading about as far north as it's possible to drive on the UK mainland without getting on a ferry. If I was ever going to truly visit the North, then this trip up to Sutherland in northern Scotland was going to be it. I started in Inverness and first headed northwest into Wester Ross, where the hulking Strathchailleach mountain revealed itself in the distance. From there, the Northern Highlands were just stunning. The many dramatic mountains and lochs of Assynt blew me away under blue skies, and eventually the roads just got smaller and quieter as I entered Sutherland and took to smaller lanes making their way close to the northern coast. And so, it is a very good evening from northwest Sutherland. Just look at the conditions that I've been blessed with. The Met Office says we've got this for the next couple of days, so I plan to take full advantage of it to enjoy just the sense of space and the scenery here as well, which I'm sure you'd agree is just beautiful. You just get a real sense of space, and I think the lack of trees goes a long way in doing that. That shows, as lovely as weather is today, things can get pretty wild up here, especially in the winter. But yeah, I think I'll say I have never been this far north before. In fact, I've never actually been this northern. In fact, I am so northern today that even the toughest Geordie is southern Nancy in comparison. Only joking. No, this is it's been somewhere I've wanted to come for ages, so it's great to finally make it, and I'm really excited about where I'm heading. Look forward to sharing it with you. I'll catch up with you a bit further down the trail. So yeah, as you can see, it was quite a long walk in, but really enjoyable. The views were just amazing. And yeah, this was the first of many sort of lochs that I passed. No one around, had them all to myself. And yeah, each appeared to have its own sort of beach as well. Yeah, here's another one, another massive loch off in the distance. Massive open views. You can see those sort of sheep on the hillside. And yeah, as I looked back inland towards the highlands, yeah, you guessed it, there's another beach. But yeah, eventually I turned a corner and there it was. Sandwood Bay in all its beauty. This is a place I've wanted to visit for ages, and it didn't disappoint when I first clocked it. I tried to increase the pace, but yeah, as I got down into the dunes, that slowed again. Because I tell you, crossing sand, especially when it's not flat, is seriously hard work. Well, I can't remove the grin from my face. Made it to Sandwood Bay, and it is stunning. I'll show you the full view in just a minute. But I've got to say, I mean, I've seen some amazing beaches in my time. You know, when I travelled abroad, places like Malaysia, Thailand, and in this country as well. I mean, this time last year I was in Pembrokeshire. We all know there's some amazing beaches down there. But as far as beaches go in the United Kingdom, I reckon it's got to be right up there with one of the best. It's just amazing. What I find incredible is, so that is the North Atlantic behind me there. And yeah, if you were to head out in a boat and just head out to sea, you wouldn't stop until you reach the Arctic. So thousands of miles of just nothing ahead. Awesome. Right, because it's quite windy, I'm going to show you some of the view, looking at each end of the beach, and I'll talk you through what we can see before hopefully I'll give you some amazing drone shots. Let's do it. Just check out these views looking west. Not bad, eh? You know, with the cliffs as a backdrop, leading out to that headland, and of course that little sea stack at the end of it, which I'm afraid I can't pronounce. Yeah, it was stunning, and it was just as beautiful actually looking towards the east as well. And yeah, after turning a minute and zoom in, you'll see this little bit of land, which is Cape Wrath. Of course, the end of the Cape Wrath Trail and one of the most northerly points on the whole of the UK mainland. Anyway, stop the talking now and let's do some drone shots. Oh, climbing a steep slope like this, it's made of sand, is soul destroying. It's seriously hard work, but I love muscles on my legs like a gladiator by the time I'm done with this. Well, myself and that man there, we were following the river, and then it just got really hard going. Like there were gullies with peat that was just, I don't know, like knee deep plus. So I've kind of abandoned the river for the time being, and I've headed across country, and I've ended up playing a game, which is called, well, I like to call it jump and pray, because that's kind of what's involved. And look what I've come across here. Someone has kindly left a nice bit of wood. So it's a balancing game now. It's like an obstacle course. And let's just show you how deep this is. So if it all goes wrong, there's my pole, and it just keeps going. I can keep going even deeper than that. Ugh. So I need to make sure I get this right. So I'm going to turn off. I need to concentrate. See the other side. There is a welcome sight. That is the wee Bothy, sat there below the hills. What a setting. Now the coast is only about 1 kilometre away, but it just feels so much wilder here. Now looking back, I can't actually see the sea. It's just open bleak moor. Right then, as predicted, I do have the place to myself at the moment, and it's just gone 8, so the chances are it's going to stay that way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Strathchailleach Bothy. Now, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've actually done a bit of homework for once and looked it up. If you look at the spelling of this Bothy, you wouldn't think you'd pronounce it that way, but that's what it says on the internet. Now, I'm going to show you the not so spectacular room first of all. Then I've got something really interesting to show you after that. So, we've got 2 main rooms. Here's the first one. As you can see, we've just got loads of sleeping space. It's not the most homely room in the world, but it will do the job, and you get quite a few people in here. That's room number 1. Right, let's head to room number 2 now. This is what it's all about, and it's why I've been desperate to come here for so long. It is fairly dark in here, so I don't know how much you can see. But yeah, you can probably make out here a picture of a bloke that looks a little bit like Uncle Albert from Only Fools and Horses. This guy's name was James Mcrory-Smith. And believe it or not, this Bothy, in a wild, windswept part of northern Scotland, this was James's home. He was affectionately known as Sandy. I'm guessing probably because of the beach nearby, Sandwood Bay, living so close to the coast. But yeah, he lived as a recluse, and he lived here for 32 years. I mean, it's just unreal. I could tell you loads more about it, but actually I think the best thing to do is just for me to zoom in, and then if you wanted to freeze it, freeze your screen and have a read yourself. That tells you that it's such an interesting read. And it's just fascinating to think that James lived here. The winters up here must be truly brutal. As I mentioned at the start of the video, the winter storms coming in off the sea, the blizzard in the winter. He lived through all of it. Unbelievable. To pass the time, actually, he did produce pieces of art as well, which I'll show you now. So yeah, we've got a piece there. Looks like sort of like a Viking longship, a lady of some sort. There's our fireplace. We'll get that going soon. Actually, it's gone 8 and I'm quite hungry. So yeah, we'll sort that out afterwards. Another piece of art there. That's a lady playing a harp. I don't know. It looks sort of like some sea gods or something like that. And then there's another room actually, and this is completely decorated. So let me show you. That's the last thing I'll show you. And we've got one final room. There's another sleeping space, but look at the artwork there. If I come in a bit closer, give you a proper look at it. I can just almost imagine him sort of being out here on his own, just painting this. It's so good that the MBA, the Mountain Bothy Association, maintain this, and that all the visitors respect who Sandy was and his memory. Nobody's defaced this, and hopefully that's the way it'll carry on. And there he is again, enjoying a smoke. From what I read, I think he enjoyed sort of the simple things in life. He enjoyed obviously a smoke. He apparently had like a radio with him and some whiskey as well. And I did see some peat actually stacked up outside. From what I read, Sandy was never without a fire, because the peat is some of the best peat you'll find in Scotland up here. Right, I hope you enjoyed that guided tour. It's a fascinating building, and I was a little bit worried that it would feel a little bit spooky, but it really doesn't actually. It kind of reminds me of the Shepherd's Hut Bothy in the North Pennines. It feels really quite welcoming, and it doesn't bother me at all. I'm up here by myself. And in fact, actually, there's quite a few campers back on the beach, and that's not a million miles away anyway. Right, let's get some dinner on the go. Well, other than the peat fire and the lone tea light burning, you probably can't see anything else, but it doesn't matter. I'll just ramble away anyway. So yeah, dinner's long been finished, and I've just been sitting here, a bit like Sandy actually, just enjoying Bothy TV, the fire, and a wee drum of whiskey. What else do you need? Sometimes the simple things in life is exactly what you need. And I can see the appeal, in some ways of living out here, living somewhere like this. But I'm not sure I want to do it on my own for the years that Sandy did it. It's a very lonely existence. I mean, I know that he'd get out once a week, he'd do a 21 mile sort of round walk to pick up his pension and like his food, and probably even pop into the pub as well. But still, the rest of the time, you probably wouldn't see anybody else other than the odd visitor sort of walking by. But even then, from what I've read, sometimes he'd be quite welcoming. I think he got a bit of a feel for what sort of person you were, and he either warmed to you or he didn't. And if he didn't, he'd sometimes bolt the door shut so people couldn't actually get in. Even though he was only actually supposed to have, in the latter years apparently, he was only supposed to have one side of the building, whereas the other half should have been open as an open shelter or a bothy. But he didn't stick to his end of the bargain. Such an interesting character. Yeah, I will say actually, the ceiling keeps creaking away in the wind. It's a little bit spooky, but other than that, it is a really welcoming and sort of warm feeling building. So I'm going to have no problem sleeping tonight, I'm sure of that. We're going to have another drop of whiskey, and then I'll call it a night. So I guess I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, folks. Well, I survived the night, nothing went bump, and Sandy didn't come to visit. But I tell you what, it's probably, as Bothies go, this has been one of the noisiest just because of the wind. It just seems to have picked up during the night, and it's now just a constant sort of, I wouldn't say it's a gale, but the grass is sort of like that. And it just goes to show again why there were no trees up here. They wouldn't survive, or if they were there, they'd probably be growing like that. It just makes me wonder again what it must be like up here in the depths of winter. Not only have you got the weather, but really short hours of daylight. It must be dark up here, being so far north by about 3:30 in the afternoon. It's just amazing. But yeah, just polishing off the brekkie because I'm going to, the route back actually, I'm going to take a different route, and it's pathless. And people in the Bothy book have described it as being the bog trail from hell. Hopefully the fact that we've had a few dry days might have dried it out just a little bit. Fingers crossed. But the reason I'm going to take that route is just because, it will take me via another Bothy. And again, I've read about it before, and it does have an interesting backstory. So hopefully I'll be able to locate it, and I'll show you that place. But yeah, I think I'll finish here by reading a poem by a guy called Gavin Mackenzie that he's written about the Bothy. It sums this place up brilliantly. So let's crack on with that. The Bothy. From beach to river to moor. The light fades, the wind scowls. The way ahead lit with a beam, searching for islands of dryness. Rocks offer refuge, wet feet find wet bog. The air is mild, the darkness foreboding. The sky offers the outline of edges. The moor offers little to lead the way. The sound of a river tempts home. The Bothy, a sanctuary, a welcome relief. a speck in these wild lands, to cross the door, to escape, to discover, to break the silence, to impose a new visitor, a passerby, a truth seeker, a holiday maker. We find it empty, darkness. Enter with heavy shoulders, waterlogged boots, explore, assess, rest. Time, minutes bring familiarity. Peat, coal, wood. The smoke rises, the steam from the socks. Sandy sits by. I hope he approves.